Hello friends, I am Shivaji Bhaskar, Faculty of Russian at the School of Foreign Languages IGNOU. I welcome you all to this course Basics of Russian Communication Skills Part 1. As you remember that we are discussing about various aspects of the Russian grammar with the help of certain aspects like the Russian alphabet. Then we have discussed about the vowels and consonants, words, word combinations as well as verbs. Then in the previous module we have discussed about the case system in Russian, which is also known as padyesh. So as we know that there are 6 cases in Russian, we started with imenitelny padyesh or the nominative case, and in the previous module we with the help of a few examples discuss about the nouns ending when we pose the question as kto, что and in the form of где. So from that we will take it further. In this module we will discuss about certain other nouns in the masculine, feminine as well as the neuter gender. We will also be discuss about the usage of the adjective endings, especially when we use the form of где. So now let's pay attention to some of the aspects and talk about this concept in detailed manner. Now let's go ahead. Here in the beginning, when we talk about the usage of где, which means where, in the prepositional case we are going to use certain verbs. As we know that the verbs are like работать, the verbs like где жить, где работать. In this case we have a list of certain other verbs which can also be used in order to form the questions with где. So we have verbs like стоять, лежать, сидеть, висеть, быть, спать, выступать, завтракать, обедать and ужинать. So these are some of the examples of the verbs which can be used with the help of где in prepositional case. For example, стоять means to stand, лежать means to lie, сидеть means to sit, висеть means to hang, быть means to be, спать means to sleep, выступать means to perform, завтракать means to have breakfast, обедать means to have lunch and ужинать means to have dinner. So with the help of these verbs we can have this sense that these all verbs can be used with где. For example, где стоять, where it is being used as to indicate where to stand. Можно стоять в середине, можно сидеть на кресле. So like this we can also use many other verbs in a conjugated form so that we can understand the usage as well as the meaning of the sentence in a correct manner. So now let's go ahead and pay attention to some of the construction of the sentences while using most of these verbs in a form of a dialogue. So please pay attention to the dialogue while I read it for you. Здравствуйте. Please pay attention to the pronunciation as well. Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте. Вы студент? Да, я студент. Где вы учитесь? Я учусь в университете. So in this case, when the person is asking где вы учитесь, where do you study, we actually understood that when we have used the word где, it indicates that it is where do you study. So we have the answer like университет. Я учусь в университете. So we are constructing a sentences while using the preposition verb with the conjugated form of the verb учиться. Я учусь в университете. Мой брат учится в университете. My brother studies in the university. Они учатся в университете. They study in the university. So you can also make your own sentences like this. Now let's go ahead and pay attention to a few more sentences where we can find the usage of verbs which we have listed in our list of the verbs of such case system like in the prepositional case. So we have где находится ваш университет, It is also indicating towards a particular place which is located where. Nash University Nakhojitsa na Yuga Zapaje. Our university is situated at the south west. You can also place another noun Yuga Zapaje Gorada, Yuga Zapaje Delhi, etc. Когда у вас каникулы? When do we have our vacations? Наши каникулы в июле и в августе. Our vacations are in July and in August. So you can also make your sentences by replacing Jule и в августе with any other message or the month of the year. The next one is где вы живете сейчас? Where do you live right now? Сейчас я живу в общежитии. Right now I am living in a hostel. So you can also make your sentences. You have seen that how to identify the verb, and with the usage of verb in a conjugated form you can pose a question of где. Then the last one is где живет ваша семья? And where does your family live? Моя семья живет в Индии, в городе Дели. My family lives in India, в городе Delhi. Here in this case, if you pay attention, with India and Delhi we have used the preposition verb because it indicates to a particular place, country and town. So with these concepts you can be very well, in the sense that you can be very sure and how and when to use verb and when and how to use na. Now let's go ahead and pay attention to the text. In this text we will see certain verbs which we use in the preposition case. Please pay attention to the construction of sentences so that you can also make your own sentences while keeping in mind the usage and form and the conjugation of the verbs as well as the selection of the words and certain expressions. So I'll read from Anton Moskvich. So here we are saying Anton is a Moscowite. Then его родители тоже живут в Москве. Сейчас Антон работает в Московском университете на математическом факультете. Он преподаватель. Антон хорошо знает английский язык. Его папа инженер и работает на химическом заводе в Москве. Его мама учительница. Then next, она работает в Московской городской школе. Его жена Наташа раньше жила в Калининграде. Ее родители и сейчас живут там. Они уже не работают, они на пенсии. So with the help of these expressions, some of the verbs constructions, conjugations and words and expression, you can understand the tone and texture of the Russian language. Now we will discuss the text. So the first line is Anton Moskvich. Anton is a Moscowite. So when do we use the word Moskvich? Means the person who lives in Moscow, or the person who is from Moscow is known as Moskvich. Антон Москвич. Его родители тоже живут в Москве. Его родители, his parents, тоже means also, живут in the conjugated form for они. Why? Because родители, parents, plural. Они живут в Москве. They also live in Moscow. And since it is the name of the city, place, that is why we have used the preposition в. Москве. Сейчас Антон работает в Московском университете на математическом факультете. So here in this case you can see that сейчас Антон работает. So we have conjugated the form работать где. Работает в Московском. So this is the form of an adjective. Московском университете. Где в Московском университете. So the ending for the masculine gender noun in adjective form changes from i kratki to om. Moskovskam. From Moskovsky Universitet changes into Moskovskam Universitete. Na mathematicus kam facultete. So from the noun facultet, it is changing into facultete, and mathematicus ki changes into mathematicus kam facultete. So I hope this fundamental change of rule is clear to you all. You can also replace the adjectives with any other adjective and use it in your own text so that you understand it properly. Now we will go back and see the next para. On Pripada Vachil, he is a professor. If it is about somebody who is a female, in place of Anton, if it is Maria, Ana Pripada Vachil Nitsa. So you have to be very clear about the usage of expression as per the gender of the noun. Alright, so on Pripada Vachil, Anton хорошо знает английский язык. Anton knows English language well. So in place of английский язык, you can change it to японский язык, Japanese language, or you can replace it with any other language like Hindi. хорошо знает язык хинди. So the next line is Его papa engineer. His father is an engineer. So engineer, it doesn't have any different words for male and female. It remains engineer, whether it is Его papa or Его mama. It can remain same. So as a profession, engineer remains same. Его papa engineer. His father is an engineer. И работает на химическом заводе в Москве. His father is an engineer and he works at that is why at the chemical factory or the chemical plant in Moscow. So I hope the construction is clear. Now the last line is Его mama учительница. His mother is a school teacher. Учительница is a school teacher. Now let's go ahead. Она работает в Московской городской школе. She works at the Moscow City School. Московской, Moscow, городской, city, school is школа. So if it is in nominative form, then Московская городская школа. But here we are changing into the prepositional case. So that is why we have used the preposition в. Moskovsky. So Moskovskaya, Aya changes into O-E kratki. The form changes into O-E kratki, Moskovsky, and Gradskaya, Aya changes again to O-E because both are adjectives, and then the noun Shkola changes into Shkole. Она работает где? Она работает в Московской городской школе. I think that this concept is also clear, how and when to change the ending of the adjective of a noun of the feminine gender in the prepositional case. Then we have the next line, Его жена Natasha раньше жила в Kaliningrad. So because it is a place's name, Kaliningrad, that is a в Kaliningrad. Его жена, his wife, Natasha. The name of the wife of Anton is Natasha. Раньше, earlier, she lived. That is why we have conjugated the verb жить into the past form as per the gender of the noun Natasha. Она жила в Калининграде раньше. So she lived in the Kaliningrad earlier. So Natasha, его жена. His wife Natasha lived earlier lived in the Kaliningrad. Ее родители сейчас живут там. So here we have seen the его means his and ее means her. Ее родители, her parents, и сейчас still live there, живут там. So this kind of expression you can also use. Ее родители и сейчас живут в Дели, в Лондоне, в Австралии. И так далее. So as per the requirement of the context, you can change the subject as well. Они уже не работают. They don't work anymore, which means that они на пенсии, because they are on the pension. That is why we have used the предлог or the preposition на. They are on pension. Поэтому That is why поэтому они уже не работают, они на пенсии. So if I want to ask a question, почему родители Наташи не работают больше? Потому что они уже на пенсии, because they are already on pension, means that the working age in Russia, they have already worked and now they are on pension as the senior citizen of Russia. So this context you can also understand and frame your own questions, and you can understand the text very well with the help of certain words, verbs, verb combinations, as well as expressions which we have used in this text, so that to understand what kind of life, what kind of relations we have in Russia, and how to change the adjective endings as well as the ending of the noun as per the gender of the noun, whether masculine or feminine, as required in this case of prepositional case. So this text is clear. Now we will go ahead and pay attention to this dialogue. In this dialogue, you can see this is a dialogue between two people, Ramesh and Anton. So now let's pay attention to some of the questions as well as answers which we have used in a dialogue form, so that you can get the information about how do we use gije and situations. So Ramesh is asking, gije живут ваши родители? He is asking Anton, они живут в Москве. So where does your parents live? Ramesh is asking Anton. Anton is answering, они живут в Москве. They live in Moscow. Ramesh, они работают? Do they work? Anton, да, они работают. Yes, they do work. Папа инженер, работает на химическом заводе, и мама работает в Московской городской школе. So this expression we have already seen and we have understood in the previous text, like где работает папа Антона? Папа Антона работает в офисе на химическом заводе. Где работает мама Антона? Mama Antona работает в Московской городской школе. So these kind of questions you can also make. However, you will learn about certain constructions where we are also using certain other cases. Like in this sentence, we have used the genitive case, Mama Antona, and Mama Antona y Papa Antona. Like these expressions you can also make. However, in this particular dialogue, we have seen that we have used the verb жить, работать. For example, где живут ваши родители? Они живут в Москве. Они работают. For example, we can also frame a question. Где они работают? Они работают в Москве. Они работают на химическом заводе. And any other noun you can also use in order to give expression to that particular sentence. So now let's go ahead and pay attention to the next set of sentences. So Ramesh is asking, Vasha mama учительница? Is your mother a school teacher? Anton replies, Da, ana biolog, a biology teacher. Ramesh, а ваша жена Наташа тоже работает? Anton, да, она математик. So she is a mathematician. He is asking, а ваша жена Наташа тоже работает? And is your wife Natasha also works? And Anton is replying, да, она математик. Она, she is a mathematician. Она работает в университете на математическом факультете. So she is a mathematician and works in a university in the mathematics faculty or department. So these kind of expressions where we are using the adjectives like математическом факультете, математическом. So математический факультет, it has been changed as per the requirement of the prepositional case. So here you can also see the usage of the professions like biolog and mathematic. We have seen учительница, engineer, врач, повар. So these kind of different kind of professions we have also learned while studying the text as well as while discussing it with you. So now we will go ahead and pay attention to the adjective endings. So the adjectives qualifying masculine singular noun which we use for answering the question gije, how do we form them? So adjectives with the ending ikrat ki, o ikrat ki, take the ending of om, like большой завод, big plant or factory. На большом заводе. Мой папа работает на большом заводе. So my father works at the big plant. Likewise, you can make many other such different sentences. In this case, новый дом, новом доме. Где вы сейчас живете? Where do you live right now? Я живу в новом доме. I live in the new house. Современный город. В современном городе. Большинство людей живут в современном городе. Majority of the people live in the modern city. Большой театр. Где происходит программа? Программа происходит в большом театре. Where the program is going on? The program is going on in the большой theater. So these kind of construction, these kind of sentences you can also make by your own while replacing the noun with any other word which you have learned, but as per the requirement of the gender in the sentence, as well as you can also place your own adjectives like большой. You can place malinki, because in Russia, in Moscow, we also have a malinki theater, not only большой theater. So большой театр, маленький театр, as well as you can replace it with many other different nouns. So now let's go ahead and pay attention to some of the more concepts like adjectives which ends with ee kratki. How do they change when we use gije? So as a rule, хороший город, it ends with ee kratki and is a masculine gender noun, changes into в хорошем городе. Хорошем городе. Где сейчас работает ваш брат? Where your brother is working right now? Мой брат сейчас работает в хорошем городе. He works in a good city right now. So like this, you can also make your own sentences. The next one is соседний дом. Соседний дом means neighboring house. Где играют дети? Where children are playing. Они играют в соседнем доме. They are playing at the neighboring house. Последний концерт. Последний концерт. Это мой последний концерт. This is my last concert. Or you can replace it with, when we pose the question of где сейчас артист? Артист сейчас на последнем концерте. So the artist is in the last concert. So you can also frame and prepare your own questions. We would like to recommend you all to note them down in your notebook. So whenever you find interesting words, expressions, verbs, use them, conjugate them, as well as use them in your own sentences. Make small text with the help of these vocabulary, these new expressions which you are learning, and communicate with your family and friends in order to understand in an efficient manner. It would help you to further enrich your Russian language skills, as well as you will find it easy in communicating day-to-day Russian. Okay, now let's go ahead and pay attention to this important part where we will see that how the adjectives along with the noun in the masculine gender changes in the question of yeah. Malinki sad, malinkam sadu. So what is it? It is something which also have these words which we have used in the case of exceptions. Sad, sadu, ugal, vuglu, and we have done les, lisu. So these are some of the important words which are called exceptions in Russian. So first one is malinki sad, malinkam sadu. Где дети сейчас играют? Дети играют в маленьком саду. Тихий океан, в тихом океане. Московский университет в Московском университете. Химический завод на химическом заводе. Mathematical факультет на математическом факультете. So these kind of questions you can also make while using the adjectives ending and prepare your own sentences. Okay, now let's go ahead and pay attention to some of the adjectives where we will find the nouns of feminine gender like kwartira, strana, ulica, dеревня, новая квартира, в новой квартире. Где живет ваша сестра? Моя сестра живет в новой квартире. Where does your sister live? My sister live in the new apartment or flat. Любимая страна. Любимая страна. В любимой стране. Где жить легко? Where do you live easy? Where do you live easy? So you can replace it. Жить в любимой стране легко. To live in your favorite country is easy. So маленькая улица, на маленькой улице. Где находится магазин? Маленькой улице. Магазин находится на маленькой улице. Then you have тихая деревня, большая фабрика, молодая республика и так далее. You can also replace it with many other nouns. However, in this case, we have used большая фабрика на большой фабрике. Где работает ваша сестра? Моя сестра работает на большой фабрике. So my sister works in a big factory. Okay, now let's go ahead and pay attention to some of the feminine gender words which having such adjectives like сегодняшняя газета, соседняя деревня, последняя выставка. So you can also see that these endings which ends with ya changes into ye и краткий. Сегодняшняя газета or сегодняшняя газеты. Что написано в сегодняшней газете? What is written in today's newspaper? So you can also have certain expressions while using the prepositions. Okay, now let's go ahead and pay attention to some of the neuter gender words with the adjectives. Новое окно, в новом окне, большое общежитие, в большом общежитии, then маленькое кафе, small cafe. So in Russian, when we say cafe, it is cafe, and if you want to see coffee in Russian, then it is кофе. Кофе, cafe is cafe, and кофе means coffee. Я пью кофе в маленьком кафе. I am drinking coffee in the small cafe. So these kind of constructions you can also make by own and understand how the meaning of the sentence is changing. Now let's go ahead and pay attention to some of the words of the neuter gender with adjectives like хорошее. So хорошее кресло, сегодняшнее собрание, соседнее здание. So you can understand with the help of certain such examples that you can also make your own new sentences with the help of same technique as you can see here. Now we will go ahead and pay attention to some of the name of places. As we already know that when we change the name of the places in the preposition from imeni chilni, we put v. India, Vinji, Delhi, Delhi, Russia, в России, Moskva, Moskve. Okay. But if we want to make adjectives out of these nouns, then the ending would be India, Injiyski, Delhi, Delhiski, Russia, Russiyski, and Moskva is Moskovski. So you can also think of something like Indian culture, Индийская культура, Делийская жизнь, Российский университет, Moskovский институт. So these kind of new sentences you can also make from the nouns. From the nouns we can make the adjectives, and with the help of these adjectives while adding the noun we can make new sentences. Okay. Alright, now let's go ahead and pay attention to some of a few more names of countries and see that how adjectives are being derived. Italia, итальянская, итальянская кухня, Italian cuisine. Франция, французская мода, French fashion, Kitai, Kitaiskie tovar, Chinese product, Japonia, Japonskaya автомобиль, so Japanese automobile, Amerikanskaya kultura, American culture, Angliskaya жизнь, English life. So these kind of things, these kind of sentences you can also make by adding the noun further while changing from noun to adjective and then adding the noun, you can see. Now let's go ahead and pay attention to some of the expressions which we have discussed. So we have discussed about the names of the countries, places. We have to use were. We have also seen that how do we change the nouns into adjectives. We have discussed about the masculine, feminine and neuter gender along with the adjective endings, and with the help of question Gije, we have changed the adjective endings and the noun endings as per the usage in this case, which is known as prepositional case. We will be discussing about other cases of the Russian case system in details in the upcoming modules. However, we would like to suggest you all to note these important word combinations, expressions, verbs in the conjugated form in a sentence, so that you understand the meaning and you can elaborate further and make your own text and understand how to use Russian in efficient manner. I hope you all enjoyed this module very much. Thank you.